One is first. All right, we're gonna hold off one more minute just to see if anyone else gets on, then we'll get started. Hello, everyone. Again, just making sure that everything is going good. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started. So, level 1, we are on chapter 8 today in the 17 laws. All right, so chapter 8 is called the Law of the Bad Apple. The Law of the Bad Apple. Now, this one is very important. All right, so the Law of the Bad Apple says, there's Josh. The Law of the Bad Apple says, rotten attitudes ruin a team. Good attitudes among players do not guarantee a team's blank. This first one is success. Good attitudes among players do not guarantee a team's success, but bad attitudes guarantee its failure. Bad attitudes guarantee its failure. This is very important to know. If you want your team to be successful, you have to have a good attitude, right? You have to be able to work together with that team in order to grow. If anyone on the team has a bad attitude, it can result in everyone else on that team failing as well. All right, so just know that's very important. Next one says 5 truths about attitudes. So these are 5 things that are true about attitudes. Number 1, attitudes have the power to lift up or tear down a team. Great talent and good attitudes result in a great team. That word you're missing is team. And I really like this marker. All right, so it's very true. If you have a good attitude, then you're going to have the power to lift up your team, make them do better things than they were doing before. And the opposite is true as well. If you have a bad attitude, if you're not working hard, if you're not doing what you know is right, well, then you can make the team fail. You can make the team not do good. All right, make sure you guys know that. Number 2, an attitude compounds when exposed to others. Attitudes are blank. Attitudes are contagious. That means people can, if you have a good attitude, then more people are going to have a good attitude. But if you have a bad attitude, more people are more likely to have a bad attitude as well. This is very, very important to know because, again, when someone with a good attitude walks into the room and makes everyone feel great, well, then the rest of the team or anyone in that room, they're also going to have a bad attitude or a good attitude as well. But again, the opposite is true. If someone has a bad attitude, then everyone else is going to start having a bad attitude as well. All right, that's what it means. Now, the next one says bad attitudes compound faster than good ones. Bad attitudes are more contagious than good attitudes. This is very important to know. It's really warm in here. This is very important to know. If you are on a team and you have a bad attitude, the bad attitude is more infectious than a good one. So if you want to have if you want your team to be positive and happy and do work hard and all that, then you have to have a good attitude as well, right? You can't walk in there with a bad attitude because it's going to spread, and we don't want that. All right? So make sure that you know that if you have a bad attitude, it's more likely to affect everyone else than if you have a good attitude. All right, next one. Attitudes are subjective, so identifying a wrong one can be difficult. Bad attitudes are the result of blank. So bad attitudes are a result of selfishness. This is very important to know. If anyone has a bad attitude, it's because they're being selfish. They're only thinking about themselves, no one else, right? That's what it means. So in order to have a bad attitude, something selfish has to be going on. They're only thinking about themselves, right? So to have a good attitude, the opposite is true. To have a good attitude, you have to be selfless. So you think about other people rather than just yourself. Because the more you think about just yourself, a lot more people are not going to want to be around you. Oh, it's a cat. Meow. All right, and the next one. Rotten attitudes, left alone, ruin everything. Bad attitudes must be addressed for the team to be blank, for the team to be successful. So, bad attitudes, if they're left alone, can ruin everything. Like it said, why do you think when we come into the karate school, everyone has a good attitude? It's because that's what we expect, right? We don't let you guys have a bad attitude. If something's not going your way, sorry, but keep going, right? Because again, if you start thinking about only yourself, then everyone else has to suffer. Right, Kelly? That's the whole motto of Prep Cycle. If you're selfish, everyone else gets to pay for it too. Oh yeah. And not in a fun way either, right, Kelly? Yeah. So, then that's important to know that all of this stuff, if you have a good attitude, everything is going to go right. But if you have a bad attitude, everything can go wrong. Now, an attitude determines how an individual sees the world and interacts with other people. If you have a good attitude, you're going to want to talk to people. You're going to want to be around many, many different types of people. But if you have a bad attitude, you're going to want to be left alone, and you're not going to want to talk to people. Why? Because, well, you have a bad attitude. So people make you angry. All right? So it says, teamwork 5, your blank determines the team's blank. These are both the same word. Your attitude determines the team's attitude. That's a D. E. So this is very important to know. Your attitude determines the rest of the team's attitude. So if you have a bad attitude, the rest of the team's going to have a bad attitude. If you have a good attitude, the rest of the team is going to have a good attitude. So we want good attitudes all the time. So the very bottom of the page, this is for you guys to think and write down on your page. It says, becoming a better team member. How is your attitude? Is it good or bad? Do you believe the team wouldn't succeed without you? Do you have a hard time admitting your mistakes? Write these things down. Do you have a good or a bad attitude? Do you think the team would succeed if you were not on the team? And do Do you accept your mistakes? Do you know that you're not perfect and that you can always improve? Because we always can improve, right? No one's perfect. Not even me, not even Grandmaster Smith. We're not perfect. We're always learning new things. And the more you know that, the sooner you learn that, the more time you have to improve yourself and make yourself better. All right? So, other than that, level 1. That's going to be it for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. See you guys tonight for fitness testing. Awesome job. All right, so we are done with level 1. Thank you guys again. I'll see you on tonight for fitness testing. Connecting is back. Who's connecting? Because I know it's not connecting. It's just their name. Oh, they left again. Level 2. So, level 2. Oh, give me a second so I can get your page on here and get this where I want it. There we go. All right, level 2. 21 laws of leadership. There's Ariana. So, 21 laws of leadership. Let's see. We are on Chapter 15, the law of victory. Oh yeah, victory. All right, so the law of victory is a very important one. Leaders find a way for the team to win, right? As a leader, you have to make sure that whatever team you are leading is going to win. That is the number one goal. Whatever that winning looks like, because there's different kinds of winning, but you want the team to win. Right? So like for demo team, our whole idea on there as a win is getting out in front of the graduation and putting on a performance that looks good, right? That's what our goal is. That's how we know we've won or not. If our form looks excellent, we've won. If we mess up and we don't look very good and we're not together, I guess we didn't win, right? So that's your goal as a leader, is for everything to come together and win. Does that make sense? So that's the law of victory. So it says, victorious leaders don't accept blank. There is one thing victorious leaders don't accept. It's defeat. Now I don't mean defeat. I mean losing. Right? Winning. Victorious leaders don't accept defeat. We don't accept losing. Why? Because we're victorious. We win, right? We're winners. That's how that works. The more we win, the less we have to taste defeat. All right, so it says 3 components of victory. These are 3 things to make sure you win every single time. Number 1, unity of team. The team must share a unified blank. The team must share a unified vision. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? Where the vision is the goal, the big thing you guys are trying to achieve. So here at karate, it's black belt. For like demo team, it's again putting on that performance and being together as a team and looking awesome, right? Well, that's what it is. That's the unified vision. The more we can look like we're together, the better it is, right? And that's the first part of victory. That's the first part of winning. You have to have the same vision. You have to have the same goal. No other goals should be kind of mixed in there. Everyone should know, this is where I'm going. Not, ooh, look at this thing over here, right? So that's what it means. Number 2, diversity of skills. The team must have a diversity of talents. This is very, very important. Any team must have a diversity in talents, right? So, for example, I'm going to be using demo team a lot because I've worked with them a lot and I know kind of things about them, right? So Mr. McGranahan and Mr. Brown, they're really good at like bow staffs. That's why they're doing that. But some people are not as good at working with those bow staffs, right? So we put them into another group. Like Kelly, she's really good with sword, right? So I put her with the swords. Or if like Miss Bilo and Miss Holdren, they're not really jump kicky like I am. So I'm not gonna make them do a lot of jump kicks, right? I'm gonna put them where they are most talented. So everyone is being put in groups of what they can excel at, things that they are excellent at or can improve tremendously at. And if you can do that on a team as a leader, then your team's gonna be successful. Your team is going to be victorious, right? And that's the most important thing, right? Look at us here at the karate school. I don't do everything, right? I'm not all of the teacher and all behind the scenes and doing everything, right? There's Mr. and Mrs. Ogle. They do their karate school owner stuff, right? Mrs. Ogle is making sure this team is still running behind the scenes. Mr. Ogle is making sure we're still getting students enrolled in leadership and in every, we're still moving. Then you got me, Miss Ogle, and Mr. Churchma. We're teaching, but we don't all teach the same thing, right? I teach basic and I teach leadership. I teach black belts. Miss Ogle teaches level 1, 2, and 3, as well as some black belts, right? We have Mr. Churchma, who is teaching level 1, 2, 3 black belts, right? And we all have our strengths, where I love the sparring and the self-defense. Mr. Churchma has his crazy stances with his forms and sparring. Miss Ogle's very technical, right? Has those high kicks. She's very precise with her movements, so she's good at teaching forms and combinations and those kind of things, right? So everyone has their strengths, and that's where the diversity of skill comes into play. And number 3 is a leader dedicated to victory and raising players to their potential. This is very important. It's not just everyone's initially up here super amazing and awesome, right? A victorious leader has to be able to build that team up and make them better and better and better to raise them up to that level. Again, I'm looking at people like I have Kelly and Ariana in here, right? They're on my demo team. Kelly, when she started, she was terrified, right? She was very anxious about getting in front of people. Well, now she's able to get in front of people no problem and perform like it's nothing. Ariana, she's working hard every time she's in and doing awesome. She's super flexible, so I can make her do different kind of moves and instant, amazing. But that's what it is. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, but the idea is to build upon them, make them better, right? And improve what they can do. And that's where the victory comes in. So a leader dedicated to victory and raising people to their potential. The team must have a strong leader who brings the team together to succeed. Without that strong leader, the team's not going to win. And that's what this lesson is all about. All right, so moving on a little bit. Victorious leaders keep fighting because they have no blank. Victorious leaders, I'll tell you what, well, if they win all the time, if we're always winning, that means we only have one plan. So we have no plan B. There is no plan B for us. It's either win or lose, right? We don't go back to another different plan. No. We're going to do this one plan, and it's either going to win or not. All right? And if we're victorious leaders, that means it wins all the time. And that's how that works. Now, application. This is the bottom of the sheet. All right? So application number 1. This is your first question, level 2. Does your team have a unified vision? What is our unified vision? I'm wearing it. This is our unified vision. It's black belt, right? That's the easiest way to know. In Mile High Karate, our unified vision is black belt. So we have one goal that everyone is trying to go for, right? And that's how we know we got it right. All right, and now I want you to, after you write down black belt, because that's the first answer for number 1. And then number 2, give an example of a victorious leader in your life. How can you be like that person? So it can be anyone you want. Mom, dad, any other like successful adults in your life. If you have a friend that owns her own company like I do. I have a friend in elementary school, she owned her own company. And she was super awesome. Yeah, crazy, right? But it works. She was a victorious leader, right? And that can be for you guys too. If anyone you want, it's any of the people in your life that are victorious, people that are reaching their goals and achieving them, that can help you, or you look at and you're like, I want to do that. Any of those people, you can write them down for number 2. All right? And that's going to be the answer you put there. Now make sure we're writing this stuff down, because this is going in your binder and it can help you in the future. All of this stuff that I'm teaching you is for you. It's not for me. You know how many times I've read these books? How many times I've gone through these lessons with you guys? Way too many. I know these things, right? I want you to have them now. I want you to be successful, and I want you to become the leader that I know you can be. All right? So save these, write these answers down, put them in your binder, and that's going to be it for level 2. Thank you, level 2. Have an excellent afternoon. You guys rock. I'll see you this afternoon for fitness testing. Awesome. And level 3. Let's go ahead and get started with your guys' stuff. So, well, hold on, let me get there first. No. Oh! So, this one, if you remember, has actually changed a little bit. Now, if you have never heard this lesson before, that's A-okay. The one we're going over today is practice praise, correct praise. But we have changed it now. It is now just correct praise. So I'm going to write it down up here so you guys can see it. So it used to be praise, correct praise. Now it's just correct praise, right? And it looked, so it just like this. This right here is your number 1 weapon to make students love you and want to keep training. All right? So for you guys, since you're my helpers, since you are on the floor helping me while I'm teaching, or Mr. Churchman or Miss Olgo is teaching, this is your best friend, correct praise. Best friend. If you want to have a student be like, you're my favorite black belt, or you're my favorite helper, this is what you do. All right? Correct praise. Again, it used to be praise, correct praise. We're getting rid of the first praise. That's not there anymore. So just correct praise. So it says, implementing correct praise helps you correct your students in a positive manner. It is never okay to be critical unconstructively. This will create resentment and cause your students to focus on their blank instead of their blank. So if you start telling a student, hey, that's awful, you need to fix it. Well, even me just saying that's one of you, even right now, that doesn't feel very good, right? That makes you start thinking, oh, I'm messing up, I need to do that. Well, it's going to make you start focusing on your weaknesses, the things you're doing wrong, right? The things that you are not good at. And that's not what we want, right? We don't want you to look at your weaknesses. Those are things that you want to improve, right? We want to improve our weaknesses, so we're getting better. But I would much rather you focus on your strengths, the things you can do well, because your strengths are awesome. They're what makes you you, right? Without me being an excellent sparrer or being the show-off performance guy that I am, I wouldn't be me. I'd be someone completely different, right? And that's because of how I grew up in karate. I grew up watching all the cool performances that I got to see and wanting to do those. I grew up with loving sparring, just innately. From the very beginning, I've always loved sparring, right? Well, that's what makes me me. And everyone has things that they really love about karate. And that's where the strengths come into play. All right? So, rule of 3. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. So, I want this one. So, rule of 3 for this guy. Where am I? All right. So, rule of 3 for this one. Correct a blank. You're going to correct a problem or a mistake. Something that they are not quite doing right? That's a G, I want a P. Problem. There we go. All right, so you want to fix a problem, right? You want to help them in a positive way. So again, if someone's doing something wrong, right? We'll say, Jaden is punching like this with a hole in her hand. I'm not going to be like, Jaden, stop that. Or, Jaden, that's wrong. Because again, that doesn't feel great, right? I'm going to go up to her and be like, hey, Jaden, close your hand just a little bit tighter. All right, make that good fist. I just corrected the problem in a positive way, right? Again, you never say that's wrong or, hey, that's not right. Say, hey, Jaden, please close your fist, right? That's how that works. That's correct a problem. Number 2 is praise the correction. You praise them. So again, if she has this and then she closes it and she punches, then it's a combination. So I say turn, and then she does the combination again, and it's still closed tight. Well, then I could be like, excellent job. Give her a high five. You rock, right? Thank you so much for fixing that. Because what happens? They start feeling good about themselves. They fixed the problem, right? So that's good. And then number 3 is make sure to use appropriate blank contact. We've talked about this before, right? This is body contact. Use appropriate body contact. So like I said, we talked about this before. So like a high five, a fist bump, elbow, foot five, pat on the back, any of those things, those are appropriate body contacts where we're, high-fiving or doing something to make them feel good. That's what that is, all right? So that's the new way we're doing this one, at least. It's not praise, correct, praise anymore. It's correct praise, all right? And this is how it works. So you have to correct the problem. You have to praise them for correcting whatever it was that they needed to fix. And then you give them a high five or an elbow or a fist bump, something like that. The more you can do those 3 things, again, the more that you're going to become their favorite helper. All right? The more you can do this, the more they're going to like you. Trust me, I know this. I was not an instructor when I was over at Thornton Mile High Karate. I wasn't an instructor, but I was one of the favorite helpers over there by many, many, many people because I did this. Because I would help them, and then when they did it, I would praise them and be like, oh man, that's an excellent job. I'd be excited for them because they fixed it. And that's where this comes into play, all right? So it is always important to use blank. This is CP, correct phrase. Correct. Praise. Correct praise. It's always important to use correct praise. It makes the kid feel good for making a correction. No one should ever use the word. What's my least favorite word when we do this? Who remembers? What is the worst word to use on correct praise? Jaden, do you remember? Go ahead. If you can unmute yourself, then you can say it. Go ahead, ma'am. Here, let me do it on my side too. Okay, now try unmuting yourself. There you go. What word is it? There you go. What word is it?
But.
You're right! Never use the word but.
You're right. Never use the word but.
We never use the word but. That is the worst word to use when you're trying to correct someone, right? So, how this works is, again, you go up to them and they do something wrong. So you're like, hey, fix this. And you're like, hey, man, can you please do it this way? And then you go back and they're doing it wrong still. Don't be like, okay, that's much better. But, because that but, they're never thinking about the good thing that you just said. That good thing goes out the window. That's gone forever. Because whenever you say the word but, what happens? You only focus on the negative thing that's said after that. So think about like at school, for instance, when your teacher's like, oh man, you got all of these questions right, but you didn't do this one. Well, now you're not worried about all the good things that you did, right? You answered all these questions, but you're thinking about the bad thing, right? Oh man, I missed this question. Darn it, right? That's where it comes into play. So no buts. All right, so make sure to only praise them after they make the correction. Never if they haven't. Stay with them till they get it. This is very important. This is the next thing. If you're working with someone and they're punching like this, you know, everyone knows we're not punching like this, right? But they still keep doing it. They go up and they're like, "Ayah, ayah," and you're like, "Oh man, can you please fix this for me? You know, please put your hand, I want it nice and straight, just like this," and they still do this. Don't be like, "Awesome job, you're doing great," and walk away. Because they're still punching like this. They're doing it wrong. We can't move on to the next student to fix until you fix whatever problem it is they have. Again, so you're not going to leave them if they're punching like this until they start punching straight and nice and flat, right? And then when they start punching nice and flat, you can be like, "Oh man, awesome job," give them a high five, and then move on, right? But never leave that person until it's done, all right? So the next thing, next tip with correct praise. I have to break my habit of correct praise too still, because I've been doing it for so long. But it's correct praise. Is never be blank in any way. Never be negative. Never be negative in any way. If you are negative, it's going to, again, bring them up to here where they're only focusing on their weaknesses. They're only thinking about the bad things, and that's bad, right? We don't want that to happen. We don't want them to look at their strengths. So never be negative. Don't go up to them and be like, "That's awful. That sucks. That's not right." Because when you say things like that, that again makes them think about their weaknesses, and we don't want that. All right? So next one. Always look them in the eyes when you're helping them. I'm not going to be looking over here and be like, "Kelly, that your fist is wrong. You need to switch it this way." Because if I'm looking over here and you're over here, it doesn't even look like I'm paying attention to you. It looks like I don't care. Does that make sense? But if I look at you, if I say, "Kelly, your fist, I need you to pick it up for me. Just a little bit. It's punching wrong." While I'm looking at you, it makes you know that that's what you got to do. All right? And Kelly, that's a nice snuggie. All right, and so our leadership thought, we only got one today. So what are some examples of correct praise? Write those down. What are some examples of correct praise? Again, I just talked about a whole bunch of them, so I want you to write those down, all right? So write down your examples. When you have your examples down, that's going to be it for today. So, level 3, you guys rock. Thank you so much. And have a good afternoon. I'll see you back tonight for fitness testing.